A young high schooler named Mocha is stunned when a handsome fellow student expresses his desire to have her, since she thinks she isn't his type and considers herself an ordinary girl. Earlier, a distressed Mocha enters the classroom and finds that she is unable to access her desk since many young ladies are gathered around the seat beside her. A young girl apologizes to her for borrowing her seat, and Mocha forces a huge grin, assuring her not to worry, since she just came to put her bag beside her desk. Girls smile, powered by 10% niceness and 90% please move. She glances at the mob and immediately realizes that they are all gathered around Izumi Kurosaki, who sits behind her. Mocha studies in a high-level school that boasts both high-standard studies and extracurricular sports activities. Welcome to a school where your GPA cries and your legs cramp. However, there is only one student who excels in both areas, and his name is Kurosaki. As a captain, he led his soccer team to win the National League, and he is tall and good-looking, which makes girls go goo-goo gaga over him. It is rumored that he even has fan clubs in other schools as well. Bro's got more fans than the ceiling. Every morning, the infatuated girls surround him just to get his attention. But secretly, they really frustrate Mocha. At one time, her friend curtly urges her to shoo those girls away from her territory. But a hesitant Mocha is unable to do so. She feels that everyone wants to be near Kurosaki, who is a human magnet. Warning: the magnetic field may cause emotional damage. Her friend is not convinced since she cannot believe an aloof guy like Kurosaki can be so popular. She points at his friend named Yuta, who is handling all the girls as if he were Kurosaki's social manager. Mocha cannot help noticing his sheer disinterest in the opposite sex, despite enjoying immense popularity. Yuta, the man, the myth, the people repeller. A certain coldness can be felt in his behavior while replying to them. A grinning Yuta instantly tries to cover up his roughness, while Mocha's friend thinks that Kurosaki's just a waste of good looks. A perplexed Mocha wonders whether he is frustrated like that every morning due to the crowd around him. Kurosaki wakes up and chooses silent suffering. She reckons that being popular can be stressful, but then shrugs it off as it's really not her matter anyway. Out of the blue, he turns towards her and their gazes meet. There is a big question in his eyes, definitely understood by her, and to cover that awkwardness, she forces a goofy smile. When in doubt, smile like a confused penguin. To her astonishment, he smiles back at her. Poor Mocha is thoroughly nervous, she couldn't even smile properly. However, the class bell thankfully saves her, and she can finally get her seat back. Bell, saving students since forever. She is so embarrassed that she cannot even look behind. Meanwhile, the buzzing bees finally leave Kurosaki in solace, bidding him goodbye. However, it is Yuta who replies to them. Yuta's job title: official goodbye guy. Grittingly, Kurosaki orders Yuta to grab his seat since this is his usual daily gig. Yuta protests that he only tries to protect him from those bumblebees, since this is what friends are for. Kurosaki sternly points out that those girls are here just because of Yuta. Lot twist: Yuta is the real main character. The smart-aleck Yuta insists that he is his biggest support as he always thinks about those girls becoming overjoyed on seeing his glance. Yuta mentions that if he had his good looks, he would have been taking more advantage than he is. He even tries to confirm his statement with Mocha. Yuta, a walkie-talkie with legs. Now Mocha isn't expecting that kind of attention, so she nervously turns around and begins to stammer. Kurosaki condemns him for making Asanam uncomfortable. An amused Yuta apologizes to her for putting her in an awkward position and heads back to his seat. Awkward level, ultra. Mocha is taken aback on learning that Kurosaki actually knew her name. Suddenly, he inquires about her reason for smiling at him earlier when she was looking at him. Poor Mocha swallows hard and blurts out that he was seeming bored. Honesty, cute and mildly dangerous. Thoroughly amused, Kurosaki probes her further about her statement. She stares at him wide-eyed, and nothing comes out of her mouth. When he stonily pushes her further, she reveals that his beautiful smile caught him off guard, and that's when her brain hit the emergency shutdown. Seeing his bewildered expression, a jittery Mocha suddenly realizes her mistake and frantically tries to apologize for being weird. But to her astonishment, he bursts into a fit of laughter, claiming that she is quite blunt. Our flushed girl stares at him in stupor, and it dawns on her the reason why girls go crazy over him. Congratulations, you made the cool guy laugh. Later, while having lunch, her friend wonders what she has in store for the next. When Mocha denies having anything specific, she openly doubts that Mocha has fallen for Kurosaki. Friend radar activated. She turns as red as a tomato, strongly denying her friend's allegation. She claims that she got excited because she saw him smile for the first time. Suddenly, a young lad named Shin appears, addressing Mocha's friend as Asami, and apologizes for arriving late. Shin enters with level 100 flirting. He flirtatiously calls Mocha cute as usual, only to be fiercely nudged by Asami, who tells him to leave her friend alone. Shin is Asami's boyfriend, and they both play basketball. She adoringly looks at the couple who always seem to argue over little things, but even that shows their immense love for each other. Love language, daily bickering. Soon, they are off for a match, and Shin even invites Mocha to join them, but she politely refuses since she isn't into sports. As they leave, Mocha envies the couple and ponders the feeling of falling in love. Mood, single, and overthinking. For a brief moment, Kurosaki's careless chortle flashes into her mind, but she quickly brushes off that thought, thinking that they both are complete opposites, and that she is not stupid enough to fall for someone like that. She tries to convince herself that she just accidentally talked to him that day and that it won't happen next time. Famous last words. Next, she quickly peeks into the school's old library and is overjoyed to find it all empty. This is because everyone is using the new one, so she can always find solitude here for studying. Soon, she puts her stuff on the study table to delve into studies since she thinks getting good grades in this prep school is quite difficult. Quiet plus books equals nerd heaven. Out of the blue, she has this eerie feeling that she is not alone in the vicinity. Panic-stricken, she tries to remember whether there was someone already there before she came in, or something just penetrated through the walls, most probably a ghost. Cue the spooky background music. She tiptoes hesitantly towards other study tables, and to her immense surprise finds Kurosaki dozing off on one of the benches. Quite dizzily, he gets up, wondering whether she is here to study again. Ghost confirmed, hot and sleepy. A thunderstruck Mocha questions him about his presence in such an isolated place. He reasons that he fell asleep while reading a book. She protests that this is not a sleeping area, so he sheepishly explains that he found peace here. Library, now also a nap zone. Instantly, those love-struck bumblebees flash into her mind, and she quickly realizes his pitiable position. She swiftly hurries off to her desk, not intending to disturb him anymore, but he comes after her, wondering what she is studying that day, and then, to her amazement, he guesses to himself that it is probably math. Bro really followed her like Casper. He stretches himself lazily and offers to help. Quite casually, he comes closer to her without realizing how hard her heart is pounding. Internal screaming intensifies. She is completely lost in the dilemma about her sudden current situation. She is so deviated that Kurosaki has to bring her back to earth, questioning her attentiveness. Quite apprehensive, she requests him to explain one more time. Girl's brain just disconnected from Wi-Fi. She reckons that since he is taking all the trouble to help her, so the least she can do is to concentrate. In no time, Mocha finishes solving the questions and is delightfully surprised that he is better at tutoring than their teacher. New favorite teacher, hot library ghost. He stares at her with an amused expression that makes her heart skip a beat. He praises her quick grasping capability and assures her that she will be able to catch up soon. She giggles with uncertainty, so he adds that taking classes seriously will also help. Flirting plus tutoring equals academic romance. He reveals that he knows that she dozes off during classes since he sits behind her. Mocha cries in sheer embarrassment, which makes him laugh at her even harder. However, she notices that the awkwardness has decreased considerably between them, although that seems quite strange. Progress report. Awkwardness down 40%. She is even more startled when he apologizes to her for that morning when she couldn't get to her desk because of him, and he is also aware that the morning chaos is a sore spot for her. Rose got CCTV level awareness. She cannot believe that he observes her that much, and soon the class bell rings. He pulls himself up to get going, but a stunned Mocha clenches her skirt tightly. As he is about to leave, she musters up all the courage and expresses her gratitude. Achievement unlocked, spoke actual words. He turns around and shoots one of his dreamiest smiles at her. As he enters the classroom, the love-struck loonies are waiting to pounce on him, but he stoically ignores them and takes his seat. Boss-level coolness unlocked. Quite confused, she takes her own seat and ponders that if she told anyone about him tutoring her, the news would become the talk of the town. However, she wants to keep this little secret all to herself, and doesn't want to reveal it to Asami even. Quite flushed, she is unable to understand her own feelings. Diagnosis: 99% crush detected. Meanwhile, Kurosaki is staring intently at the back of her head, and that's how you know it's about to get real. Even during the trip to the supermarket, A perplexed Mocha is lost in her thoughts about how much she interacted with Kurosaki that day. She reckons that he was an entirely different person when she talked to him and wasn't snobbish at all. She recalls how he smiled at her and even helped her with her studies. Plot twist: supermarket trip turned into heart trip. She wonders whether he is a nice person in real life. She suddenly gets a grip of herself and tries to hurriedly finish grocery shopping in order to save herself from her mother's wrath. Unexpectedly, Kurosaki calls out to her, and a stunned Mocha wonders about his presence at the supermarket. The universe ships them harder than fans do. With a deadpan face, he shows her the basket, indicating that he is even here for shopping. He explains that his brother's apartment is nearby, which comes as news to her since she didn't know he had a brother as well. Mocha is baffled since she has been running into him a lot that day. They're one more coincidence away from a rom-com contract. On his query, she mentions that she lives near the market. He is surprised that she lives so far from school and realizes that's why she barely reaches her classes on time. A humiliated Mocha cannot believe that he keeps such a sharp vigilance on her. This boy's got Google Maps installed in his brain. Tearfully, she suggests that she can board the train earlier every morning. Like a bolt from the blue, Kurosaki breaks into a fit of laughter. Later, while walking together, she notices that he smiles a lot. Warning: smiles may cause heart palpitations. He wonders if her house is on his way as well, and she affirms. She quickly steals a glance at his face, and suddenly their gazes meet. When she appears puzzled, he mentions, while looking down at her, that she is pretty short. Bro said short, and she took emotional damage. She quickly responds that this is because he is too tall. A flushed Mocha realizes that just walking by his side makes her heart bang loudly. Suddenly, someone passes a remark about Kurosaki being very hot. Meanwhile, Mocha, activate invisibility cloak. The comment came from two girls who are continuously whispering while staring at him. Mocha feels apprehensive walking with him and even says that aloud. When he demands an explanation about her statement, she explains that he has many admirers and that makes her kinda insecure walking with him. He's basically a celebrity in a school uniform. He guesses that she probably doesn't like walking with him. She quickly refutes his supposition, so he elaborates that he would never walk with someone whom he didn't like in the first place. Girl just trying not to spontaneously combust. During the rest of the journey, she keeps her face away from him so that he doesn't notice her tomato-red cheeks. The next morning, Mocha overslept again, waking up at 7:28 a.m. Alarm clocks fear her power. She frantically wakes up and gets ready for school. She frets over it since she was thinking of taking an earlier train, but now that seems impossible, even if she dashes towards it. Her elder brother notices her anxiety, so he approaches her. Big bro instincts activated. She wonders if he has any morning classes that day, to which he replies that the university canceled them. He mischievously offers her a lift on his bike, and she is ever grateful to him. To her delight, he zooms like an arrow and drops her off at school just in time. Bike 1, public transport 0. She gleefully thanks him, declaring him to be the best brother. Viscerally, her elder brother's heart begins to pound heavily, and he embraces her tightly, declaring her to be the cutest little sister ever. Sibling love. Adorable but slightly clingy, she quickly pulls herself off and wobbles towards the class. She enters class on the bell. She is still embarrassed by her brother's clinginess despite their amiable relationship. Therapy is needed for secondhand embarrassment. Hesitantly, she creeps through the seats, realizing that everyone except her has already been seated. As she grabs her seat, she is pleasantly surprised when Kurosaki greets her with a warm smile. She greets him back in stupor since this is the first time he has greeted her like this. Someone hit the main character moment button. She sheepishly grins, admitting that she overslept again. He claims that he already knows that, and with that, he touches her hair and jeers at her for having bedhead. Hair 0, crushes opinion 100. Her face glows furiously as he rustles her locks more. She quickly grabs her hair anxiously, and embarrassingly reasons that she rushed to get here. While lowering her gaze, she realizes that since yesterday, her heartbeat has increased with whatever he says. Diagnosis: Stage 5 crush syndrome. Later, when the class ends, Yuta cheerfully calls Kurosaki by his first name Izumi, which really irritates him to the core. Yuta is surprised since he has always called him by that name. Yuta's nickname game, bold and dangerous. However, Mocha knows that it is a well-known fact that he doesn't like being called by his first name, probably because it sounds quite feminine. Out of the blue, Yuta pops a question about whether Kurosaki was on a date yesterday. Yuta really said, "Let's stir the pot." The question takes everyone by surprise as they turn around to stare at Kurosaki. Yuta explains that someone from another school's soccer team revealed that he was seen with the girl yesterday. A panic-stricken Mocha begins to sweat heavily since she is certain that the person is talking about her. Girl's about to evaporate from stress. She tries to convince herself that it is all a misunderstanding since they accidentally met and then started walking together, so it wasn't conventionally a date. Accidentally fell into a scandal? Oops. However, Kurosaki is not worried at all since he casually admitted. The whole class stares at him as if he has grown horns. Class, error 404, cool boyfriend not found. Yuta even tries to shake him vigorously because he is still unable to digest the fact that Kurosaki can date a girl. He eagerly tries to probe him about that girl, but Kurosaki shuns him. Yuta's journalism career starts today. Yuta tries to call him from behind, but he has already stormed out of the class. Soon, the news spread like wildfire about Kurosaki having a girlfriend. The bumblebees are especially shocked since he acted like a hypocrite around them. Fans crying, popcorn flying. Asami and Mocha overhear their conversation, and Asami remarks that he could be having a couple of girlfriends. Plot twist. Kurosaki has a secret twin. Mocha is struck with anxiety, thinking that since he is not denying anything, everyone now believes that he is hooked up with a girl. The bees keep on buzzing that the girl should be worth his time and standard. They form the National Gossip Association. Asami notices the terrified expression on Mocha's face and expresses her concern. Asami, part-time bestie, full-time lie detector. Mocha quickly covers up her fretfulness with an assuring smile and convinces herself firmly that she already knew they both were from different planets. As she enters the library, Kurosaki is already waiting for her to her astonishment. The library is now a rom-com hotspot. She mischievously questions him whether he is here to doze off again, and he irritably replies that he doesn't do that every day. Next he inquires about her homework, and she responds that this time it is English. Homework, the third wheel of this relationship. He offers to do the homework together since that way she will be over with it soon. Her face brightens up instantly, but she tries to keep herself in control. Rain, we love English now. Next, she anxiously wonders whether things are okay on his end due to the rumors about them getting hooked. But he doesn't seem affected, and Alufla mentions that what's done is done. Boy really just shrugged off a whole scandal. She is relieved that at least no one knows that she is the one with whom he was seen yesterday. He gazes at her intently, and then questions her about why she doesn't want people to know. Kurosaki out here doing emotional interrogations. Her eyes widen with immense shock, and she stammers sheepishly that everyone will loathe her since she is not actually his girlfriend. Girl really said, I'm not girlfriend material, yet. He stares at her keenly and then suddenly holds her hand, wondering whether she wants to get in a real relationship with him and make those rumors true. End credits music. Cue dramatic gasp. Mocha is speechless at his suggestion and then blushingly stammers with closed eyes. Like a bolt from the blue, he breaks into a fit of laughter, claiming that he was just pulling her leg. Poor Mocha is still baffled by his sudden attack, but the latter normally returns to doing homework. Bro gave her a heart attack and then casually picked up his pencil. On gaining senses, she yells at him for scaring her like that, but he acts aloof. She is still terrified, although to him, it is just a prank. Secretly, she is upset with him for being mean to her. Her emotional damage meter just leveled up. In no time, they are done with their homework, and she is surprised since it was easier than she thought. He becomes curious when she stares at him blankly, so she lauds him for being an all-rounder, wondering whether there is anything he cannot do. Plot twist. He can't open a bag of chips without making a mess. He hints that there is something he cannot do, but it is a secret. Mocha is disappointed at his smugness. With a bored expression, he wonders whether she is good at something. Mocha's ego just tripped on Lego. She feels scorned by his question and proudly claims that she excels in cooking. She even informs him that she heads the home economics club. He appears impressed since he literally lacks culinary skills. His only recipe is boil water, cry, and repeat. He expresses his desire to try her hand-cooked food. She agrees to cook for him, so he invites her to his place the day after the next day. Now, a nervous Mocha didn't see that coming, so he reminds her that she just agreed to cook for him. Girl agreed to feed him, not move in. She weakly protests, but he has already made a decision. As the bell rings, he urges her to take out her phone. He really said, no takesies backsies. Confused, she places the phone in his hand, and he mentions that he will message the details to her. Mocha is still in a state of shock, and even as night follows, she keeps on wondering whether he is really serious about inviting her. She cannot digest the fact that she has acquired the most unattainable contact number, Kurosaki's. Achievement unlocked, rare NPC contact. She recalls Kurosaki inviting her for coming Sunday. Mocha is in hot water since how can she go to a strange boy's house just to cook him a meal? She tries to reason whether it is normal for friends to do that. Spoiler: it's not, Mocha. This is how rom-coms begin. But then she remembers how people reacted when they found out Kurosaki was walking with a girl, and a girl going to a boy's house is completely out of the question. She suddenly has this urge to cancel the plan, and even types the message on his chat, and with a fluttering heart, presses the send button. Her anxiety said, "Abort mission?" To her immense shock, the phone begins to ring fiercely, and it is revealed that Kurosaki is on the other side. Bro called faster than customer support ever could. Hesitantly, she picks up his call, and when he greets her, she realizes that this is the first time she is hearing his voice on the phone. He is concerned about her canceling the plan and wants to know the reason for her discomfort in coming to his place. His ringtone said, "You're not ghosting me today." Nervously, she denies having any apprehension, and then blurts out that she doesn't want to cause a burden for him and his family. He informed her that his parents are away on a trip, so that will be no issue. That escalated quickly into Netflix and Don't Cook. Mocha is more terrified of learning that both of them will be alone at his place, and the whole idea overwhelms her. She quickly suggests that she will prepare something in the Home Eats Club and then give it to him for tasting. Girl tried to undo reverse out of the date. However, he quickly refuses and bemusingly assures her that he will eat her cooking even if it is bad. Mocha is in a fix since the lad is not ready to budge an inch. He said, "Gordon Ramsay, who?" Soon, the bright and sunny Sunday morning arrives, and Mocha gets ready to head for Kurosaki's place. She checks out her flowy outfit, hoping that it fits the situation. Outfit? Cute. Mood? Chaos. She feels helplessly stuck in a very awkward situation with no way out. Suddenly, her elder brother appears, wondering whether she is heading somewhere. She tells him that she is heading towards a friend's place. In a threatening tone, he confirms whether her friend is a female or a boy. Detective on duty, Brother Holmes. She quickly affirms that it's a girl, though secretly she feels guilty lying to him. He bids her goodbye cheerfully, and she really hopes that he never finds out the truth. Later, she reaches the station since Kurosaki is about to pick her up from there. One lie, 0 regrets, 50 heartbeats per second. She looks around in search of him when she hears some girls coo at a good-looking lad. She quickly turns around and forgets to blink her eye on spotting the tall and dashing Kurosaki in casual clothes. She nervously wonders about how to approach him, but then quickly calls out for his attention. He pulled up like a model, and she pulled a mini heart attack. She then thanks him for picking her up. He looks at her as if she were a stranger to him, but then confirms in disbelief whether she actually is Mocha. Guess who forgot how to function? It's Ye Girl. Mocha becomes more jittery trying to straighten her hair and face in sheer confusion. He explains that he didn't recognize her for a second since she looks quite different without her school uniform. A startled Mocha ponders whether he is paying her a compliment, but soon they are off to buy groceries. Translation: You clean up nice. After a while, they head towards his house carrying a big bag of ingredients. Apprehensively, she tries to confirm whether his parents are really out on a business trip and that he is home alone. Someone play the Home Alone soundtrack. He confirms that his parents are away and that his brother rarely visits, so it will be the two of them. An anxious Mocha notices his indifferent attitude and tries to convince herself that she might be overthinking. He chillin', she panickin'. Classic. Soon he points at a lavish modern-style villa and claims to live there. Mocha is awestruck to see such a beautiful house with high ceilings and marble floors. She openly declares that she has never been in such an amazing house. She expected a house, got a Pinterest board. As she ties up the apron, she is stunned to see a spotless kitchen as if it is hardly used. He explains that he rarely cooks and his parents are usually out. She is curious about his diet, so he casually mentions that he usually gets convenience store or microwave meals and buys bread for lunch. Spoiler: it's mostly sadness and store-bought sandwiches. Mocha is concerned about his unhealthy diet since he even plays soccer. This boy is 90% preservatives at this point. Instantly, he orders her to cook something for him. When she appears puzzled, he wonders whether she can make school lunches for him, and he can always eat those with her at the library during lunchtime. He just proposed a low-key lunch date series. Mocha is a little uneasy since she is not a pro at preparing special lunches. He stares at her knowingly and then reminds her how he helped her with her homework. Seeing her jittery expression, an amused Kurosaki probes her further whether she can't do a little favor for him. This is blackmail, but make it romantic. Mocha squeezes her eyes irritably at his cleverness, and then finally agrees to prepare only lunches for him. A stunned Kurosaki cannot believe her naivety. He was ready to hire Gordon Ramsay, but got Mocha instead, but she points out curtly that she cannot do that every day. He chortles hard, thanking her for agreeing to cook for him. She watches him in stupor, thinking that if that makes him happy, then she is totally okay with it. Bro just won the meal lottery. Soon, she prepares a delicious lunch for him, which he chomps down hungrily. He loves her cooked food to her delight. She flexed her food game and won his stomach. She playfully reminds him of her claim of excelling in culinary skills, and he lightly shrugs it off. By 1 p.m., they are done with lunch, and even Mocha is finished cleaning and doing the dishes. She figures that it's time to return home when he suggests they should study if she has time. Plot twist: he wants brain food now. She, in turn, asks him whether it suits him. For a response, he pats her head affectionately and expresses his gratitude for an awesome lunch. Instant upgrade. From chef to soft spot. Her eyes become glassy with emotion since earlier she was worrying unnecessarily about things, and she is glad that she actually made it here. She realizes that she had a lot of fun with Kurosaki, and that time flies whenever she is with him. Love really be messing with the clock. While studying, she has a spell of drowsiness since she couldn't sleep last night. She tries her level best to stay alert in their study session, but then an astonished Kurosaki discovers her dozing off peacefully. Girl came to cook and accidentally rebooted. He grits his teeth irritably, remarking that she always sleeps like that out of the sudden. As a response, Mocha unconsciously smiles and makes sleepy sounds. Even in sleep, she's embarrassing herself like a pro. A flushed Kurosaki stares at her unblinkingly. Next, he pulls her chair closer to his and then slowly whispers in her ear that she shouldn't make herself vulnerable like this. Sir, she's napping, not signing a lease. Time passes by, and it can be seen that Kurosaki has plopped beside a dozing Mocha. His face is a few centimeters away from her face as he gazes at her with great intrigue. His eyes widen in amazement as she unconsciously smiles in her sleep. Situation: snooze cruise turns blush rush. His face reddens out of an emotional surge, but then he pulls away with an irritated sigh. Next, he brushes his finger through her hair and spaces out in a flashback. He recalls the first time he met Asano in the winter of his second year of high school. However, she didn't notice him and was busy in her own world. Flashback mode unlocked. As usual, he was busy dozing off in that old school library when he heard an excited female voice exclaiming about the library being empty. A flustered Kurosaki quickly wakes up to find Mocha and imagines her to be one of those irritating love-struck bumblebees. He thinks in sheer frustration about being found out by them again. Library MVP. Sleepy boy meets silly girl. However, Mocha was busy in her own silly antics, completely oblivious to her surroundings. As he secretly observed her, he found her quite amusing, but then he noticed that she was having difficulty in her studies. After that, she was a regular in the library, and it became habitual for him to observe her various moods with great interest. Plot: accidental stalking, but cute. Later, he was surprised when they ended up in the same class for their third year, and it was then that he learned that her name is Mocha Asano. After that, she has always been under his scrutiny, and he realized how expressive and candid she is about little things. For instance, once while scrubbing the classroom floor, her face was dazzled with happiness when she was able to remove a stubborn stain. Cleaning level, stain slayer. He reckons that, unlike those tiresome bumblebees, she doesn't goof, grin, and blabber continuously. He finds himself continuously staring at her. At that time, when the teacher announced that their seating would be decided by a raffle, he was assigned a seat behind Mocha. Fate said, "Seat upgrade granted." A bimbo requested Mocha to exchange seats because she wanted to sit near Kurosaki. However, to his relief, the teacher forbade them from doing so. Finally, when he took his seat behind hers, he kept on staring at her back, realizing she had such nice hair so nice he got hypnotized. He became so engrossed that when she turned around to face him, his heart skipped a beat. Humiliated, he wondered about her staring at him. It is then that she pointed out that the teacher was calling for his attention. Teacher be like, eyes front, hearts later. He regained his senses and heard the teacher reminding him to erase the board since he was on duty that day. Also, he advised him not to space out during classes. The whole class burst into laughter, and even Mocha giggled silently, but all he thought was that it was the first time Mocha had addressed him, and he couldn't comprehend his own feelings about her. At present, Mocha begins to gain consciousness since she suddenly finds herself slightly suffocated. She tries to blink some sense into her and feels something wrapped around her tightly. Wake-up call, panic edition. To her horror, she finds Kurosaki sleeping beside her on the bed with his arms firmly wrapped around her. She becomes dizzy with fear and cannot believe that he is actually holding her close to him. She suddenly lets out a terrifying shriek, which abruptly awakens him. Sleepover speedrun, no consent. She panic-strickenly inquires about why they are lying together. He drowsily explains that seeing her dozing off knocked him out as well, but she protests hysterically that they shouldn't be sharing the same bed. Bed rules? She missed that memo. His expression becomes mischievous, which sinks her lower into pits, but she is curious about how she got into his bed in the first place. It occurs to him that he probably carried her there. Out of the blue, he offers to drop her at the station since she might want to go home. Uber, but make it boyfriend material. A baffled Mocha agrees blankly since it is already late afternoon. A tinge of disappointment strikes her, and she guesses that she probably wants to spend more time with him. The next day, Asami is thunderstruck when Mocha finally opens up to her about her relationship with Kurosaki. Feels update, 404, time needed. In sheer disbelief, she wonders about the time it all started. Mocha sheepishly admits that even she doesn't know when and how it all began. Mocha decides to confide everything to Asami because whatever happened on Sunday is too overwhelming for her. Bestie finally gets the tea. Asami is stunned because everything happened under her nose. During lunch break, Asami expresses her curiosity about whether Mocha is Kurosaki's rumored girlfriend who went on a date with him after school. Mocha declares it to be a big misunderstanding. Rumor mill still spinning. She tries to finish up her meal quickly since she had promised Kurosaki to bring him lunch at the library. Asami wonders about the possibility of Kurosaki being sweet on Mocha. She chokes on her food as she denies Asami's sudden allegation. CPAR via noodles incoming. Asami reasons that if he wasn't interested in her, then he wouldn't have been holding secret meetings in the library or asking for lunch favors. Her reasons leave Mocha speechless for a moment, but then she explains that Kurosaki likes her because she doesn't act like those bimbo bumblebees, as he cannot tackle those effectively. She feels that if she tried to act pushy, then he wouldn't be able to handle that either. Bumblebee defense strategy. Be normal. Asami gazes at her anxiously, and then probes her about her feelings for him. Quite thoughtfully, she responds that they are just friends. Meanwhile, Kurosaki is becoming impatient with hunger since he has been waiting for Mocha for so long at the library. Library Hunger Games begin. Suddenly, he overhears the conversation between two classmates from outside the window. One of them claims to be into a girl named Tachibana since she is the cutest in the whole class. He then probes the other to reveal his crush as well, and a bored Kurosaki is forced to hear their who is the cutest girl in class chatter. Boys talking tier lists again? Suddenly, the other boy mentions Mocha and his urge to be protective towards her. Kurosaki's ears prick up and his eyes widen in shock when one boy reveals that she already has a boyfriend. He claims that he saw her getting a bike ride from a guy the other day. Protective mode, on. Also, he was hugging her outside the school gate. After the revelation, they both burst into laughter since no one could ever guess that about Mocha. Their voices vanish as they leave, but a deadpan Kurosaki is frozen to the ground. Kurosaki.x has stopped responding. Meanwhile, Mocha is dashing towards the library in a frenzy since she spent too much time talking to Asami. She anxiously figures that he must be waiting for the lunch she promised to bring him. When she enters the library, she finds him sitting stonily in the chair. Bro's giving statue vibes harder than the thinker. When she announces her arrival and apologizes for the delay, he doesn't even turn around and stays solemn. Panting hard, she anxiously guesses that she might have spoiled his mood. When she places the lunch bag in front of him, he gruffly turns his face away. That silent treatment hit harder than my Wi-Fi at 1% signal. Quite fretfully, she squeals a huge apology to him, and then undoes the lunchbox, revealing its delicious contents. She elaborates excitedly on how good she is at cooking eggs, and how diligently she worked on grilling the meat. However, Kurosaki remains indifferent and just murmurs a short thanks. Man's harder to impress than Gordon Ramsay on a Monday. Noticing the awkward silence from his side, Mocha becomes tearful, wondering whether he is mad at her. He is forced to look at her, and then quickly looks away, declaring that he is not mad about the lunch. Without looking at her, he questions her about the guy on the bike. This turned into a full episode of Who's That Dude? She appears baffled by his completely out-of-this-world question, so he explains grittingly that he is talking about the guy with whom she rode on the bike to school. It dawns on her that last week her elder brother dropped her off at school. Her cheeks begin to flush furiously, and she frantically inquires whether people had seen her. Kurosaki lowers his gaze in dismay, thinking that his worst fear has come true. Plot twist. It's just her bro, not a biker gang date. Humiliated, she assures him that she will make sure he won't drop her again at the front gate. Impatiently, Kurosaki stands up and places his hand forcefully on the desk, demanding an explanation. Mocha finds him quite intimidating at that moment, but he questions whether the biker guy is her boyfriend. Detective mode activated. Tell me the truth, miss. Mocha is struck by lightning at that ridiculous allegation and quickly corrects his misunderstanding by mentioning that the biker guy is her brother. Still unconvinced, he probes her whether she still hugs her brother. Mocha defends herself by stating that it was he who hugged her since he is so overprotective about her. Kurosaki out here questioning family hugs like they're illegal. He doesn't stop here and confirms with her whether she doesn't possess a boyfriend. Mocha instantly refutes and assures him that she has never dated anyone. He keeps on grilling her until the poor girl is overwhelmed by such critical interrogation. FBI, open up. Wait, never mind, it's just jealous Kurosaki. Finally, he is satisfied and lets out a huge sigh of relief. He drops his head down on the desk in sheer exhaustion, and a concerned Mocha wonders about his well-being. For a response, he pats her head affectionately and assures her that he is fine. Emotional roller coaster ends with a head pat. Classic anime move. He even expresses his desire to have lunch, which she happily serves, although her mind is still boggled. Later, he praises her efforts and thinks that she is amazing. She notices how quickly he reverts to his old self. This man's mood swings got more turns than Mario Kart. Soon, the lunchbox is sparkly clean since he has eaten every single morsel. Her face brightens again on the thought that he liked her cooking. Meanwhile, a satisfied Kurosaki lets out a huge burp and announces that now he is feeling sleepy. Nothing says 5-star review like a burp louder than applause. In the next moment, he mischievously inquires whether she wants to sleep with him. Mocha is struck with humiliation, and she immediately refuses his offer. But he ignores her, grabs her hand, and steps towards his favorite bench despite her fierce protests. Sir, that escalated faster than my anxiety during exams. He makes her sit on the bench and places his head on her lap. She is struck with an emotional surge that almost makes her dizzy. She protests weakly, only to be shushed by him, and then he dozes off. Bro used shell like a sleep spell. Hogwarts who? She observes his handsome face and then gently strokes his hair, thinking that he probably finds solace in her company since none of those sickening bumblebees are following him around here. Suddenly, Asami's voice echoes in her mind, inquiring about her feelings towards him. She quickly pulls off her hand and clenches it tightly, recalling her claim that they are just friends. Just friends? My foot, girl, your heart's playing love songs already. But every time she reminds her of that grueling fact, her chest tightens due to gloom. The next day, Asami shrieks in shock when she learns that Mocha has prepared Kurosaki's lunch again. A terrified Mocha tries to shush her, looking here and there for possible eavesdroppers. Caught in 4K with lunchbox evidence, Asami guesses that she has been cooking every day recently and reminds her of the deal to make lunch only once in a while. Mocha sheepishly admits that she is having fun preparing them. Asami suspects something fishy going on between the duo, but an alarmed Mocha quickly tries to eliminate her misunderstanding by mentioning that he is just a friend. A smart Asami is not convinced, and their conversation is interrupted by a hysterical shriek. Asami, just a friend. Mi slides popcorn across the table. It appears that Kurosaki has made a smashing back jump over a bar, dragging the already crazy bumblebees towards lunacy. Asami remarks that despite having a rumored girlfriend, his female following is incredible. She compares him to a pop star, and Mocha giggles nervously in response. Kurosaki really out here being the BTS of that school. She notices that he is showing his cold, stony side to everyone currently. Instantly, she takes a look around and observes all the beautiful girls cooing over him. An inferiority complex wafts over her, thinking that it should be one of those gorgeous girls who should stand beside Kurosaki. Girl, this ain't America's Next Top Model. Love hits where it hits. In her imagination, she can picture the perfect and stunning couple. Thankfully, she comes out of the blue swiftly and shrugs off those depressing thoughts, convincing herself to stay out of his affairs. Later, while having lunch, Kurosaki notices her injured finger and inquires about it. Man be observant fingers like Sherlock Holmes. She explains that it got cut while preparing food, but she assures him with a smile that it is not a big issue. In reality, she cut it while thinking about him. He holds her hand and tells her to be more careful next time. That's not love, it's full-on anime girl syndrome. He fumbles with her hand and then comments about it being tiny. He stares at her keenly, making her heart pound heavily. She hesitantly pulls away from him and clenches her fist. Warning. Heart overload incoming. Proceed with tissues. Her heart begins to thump faster as she sees that coming and realizes that she cannot take it anymore. She is aware that if they go any further, then there will be no turning back. Meanwhile, in the girls' restroom, one of the bumblebees declares that she will be asking Kurosaki out. This girl's playing Hunger Games, Love Edition. Her friends remind her that him having a girlfriend. But Mecha Takibana remains aloof while touching up her lipstick. One of the bumblebees is quite confident that no one can turn her down, but she isn't that sure about anything anymore. Confidence level? He won't say no. Reality? He said no. Kurosaki is busy playing soccer, and soon the coach announces a 10-minute break. Suddenly, Mika calls out to him, requesting a moment of talk. He stares at her inquisitively. Coach be like, you got 10 mins to fall in love or fall flat. Clock's ticking. Meanwhile, Asano is in the library trying to study, but no matter how hard she tries, she is unable to concentrate. She plops her head miserably on the open book, thinking that she wasn't able to make any progress during lunch break as well, so she thought she would be making up after class. She is unable to comprehend her current situation and feelings, and fears that if she gets closer to Kurosaki, she won't be able to hold back her feelings for him. Studying? More like starring in her own telenovela. She fears losing his beautiful smile if she accidentally falls in love with him. Fretfully, she fumbles inside the bag to take out the dictionary, adding to her misery she has forgotten it in the classroom. She decides to head back to the classroom, thinking that he might be at soccer practice. Plot twist. Dictionary ran away with her sanity. While taking her shoes from the locker room, she is thunderstruck by an enormous "I like you," shouted by someone behind a locker. A jittery Mocha quickly hides herself on the other side, thinking someone is confessing. She is helpless since she cannot run away and is forced to eavesdrop on the conversation. She entered stealth mode like a ninja with anxiety. So when the girl accuses the boy of having a rumored girlfriend, it strikes Mocha that the boy on the other side is Kurosaki, and the confessor is Mika Tachibana, one of the bumblebees always buzzing around Kurosaki. He questions her about the allegation coldly, so Mika confidently inquires him whether he doesn't feel anything for her, and openly expresses her desire to become his girlfriend. Mocha quickly puts on her shoes and dashes out the door without waiting for his response. Flight really won over fight today. She swiftly reaches the library, panting heavily, and finds solace after closing the doors behind her. She analyzes how she doesn't want to act like those love-struck bimbos, and that's why she camouflages her feelings for him. She doesn't realize that her eyes are flowing freely as she feels so hurt and confused. Mission: don't fall in love. Status: failed successfully. She finally admits that she has fallen for Kurosaki as well. She cries bitterly, rubbing her eyes roughly. She calls herself a doofus for being so weak since there is no turning back. Even her brain's like, girl, we told you this would happen. Later during lunch break, she spaces out again, only to be brought back by Asami, who claims that she has not been herself the whole morning. Mocha sheepishly denies everything to Asami's concern. Soon Shin arrives, so she decides to head with him, leaving Mocha to her library and Kurosaki's lunch. Meanwhile, her heart is out here filing a complaint. However, Mocha heads towards the classroom instead and notices that Mika isn't there. She guesses that Kurosaki turned her down. She further sinks into pits that if a girl like Mika doesn't stand a chance in front of him, then she is a nobody. Self-esteem dropped harder than a phone with butterfingers. She cannot get herself to the library despite knowing that Kurosaki is waiting for her and will be raging mad if she doesn't show up. However, she doesn't want to face him right now. She is startled when Yuta calls for her attention. Jump scare, Yuta edition. He is surprised to see her in the classroom since she is rarely there during lunch break. He wonders whether she doesn't have anywhere to go that day. She reasons that she wanted to be here for a change. Translation: I'm hiding from emotions and awkward convos. Next, she inquires whether he is always found in the classroom. Yuta tries to appear miserable, complaining that Kurosaki never has any lunch and disappears in thin air. He has observed his sudden elated moods, but he is quite secretive about his whereabouts. Ro thinks Kurosaki has a part-time job as Batman. Poor Mocha flinches in her seat nervously. Suddenly, he makes a plan that they should all go out for karaoke. Mocha is taken aback by that sudden suggestion, so Yuta explains that Izumi is never around, and he is feeling lonely. Karaoke, because emotional damage sounds better with a mic. He even offers to invite Asami and Shin since they are her buddies. Before she can protest, he has already messaged everyone, but then she realizes that an activity will surely keep her away from overthinking, so she agrees to go. Plot twist. Now she's overthinking about not overthinking. But to her immense shock, Yuta manages to gather 20 people for the outing since everyone is interested in going. Panic slowly waves through her since she has never been out with a huge gathering. Seeing her fretting over it, Yuta figures that she is chickening out, so he sternly declares that she has to come since she was the first one to agree. Mocha.x has stopped responding. Please restart. Suddenly, the door rattles and a worn-out Kurosaki enters the classroom. His eyes widen in astonishment at first, and then a frown takes over his face. Mocha frantically turns away while an excited Yuta calls out to him. Even the air froze like, oh no, drama just walked in. Kurosaki brushes past him, and when Yuta invites him to karaoke, he flatly refuses. Yuta wails, claiming that the outing will be fun and he should come just this once. But he ignores him and stoops over Mocha, who is sitting with a pounding heart. Kurosaki's poker face could win a staring contest with a statue. Yuta then whispers to Mocha they have to leave without Kurosaki. Suddenly, Kurosaki grabs his shoulder and sternly agrees to join them. His compliance dazzles Yuta's face, and the love-struck bimbos desperately want to join them. They saw karaoke and heard Kurosaki dating show. Yuta refuses them since they are already overboard with people. Kurosaki takes his seat behind Mocha and inquires her in a whisper about her absence in the library. Mocha fails to respond, so he probes her further about whether something happened. Detective Kurosaki reporting for emotional interrogation. Mocha tearfully shakes her head. Kurosaki looks at her solemnly, then sighs. A gloomy Mocha is adamant not to show her true feelings to him, and she wasn't expecting him to join them for the outing. Girls holding in tears like it's the Olympics. Later at the karaoke, the girls are swooning over a stoic Kurosaki, despite Yuta's warning of not clinging to him. They are all singing and enjoying themselves, and Mocha feels a lot better in this lively environment. However, he keeps glancing at her secretly. He's singing with his eyes. Lyrics. I miss you. Mocha can sense his piercing gaze on her and lowers her head in sheer dismay. She uncomfortably feels out of place in such a lively gathering. Unexpectedly, a young lad approaches her and inquires whether she is having a good time. Sir, she ordered loneliness, not a side quest. An astonished Mocha tries to recognize him and remembers that he is in the same club as Asami and others. The boy named Takahashi offers her something to drink, but she politely refuses. He expresses his concern about her current gloomy state. Ro saw sadness and thought it was his cue. To her alarm, he places his arm around her and offers to walk out as she isn't feeling well. Sensing approaching danger, Mocha pulls herself off his arm, apprehensively, refusing his advances. Takahashi doesn't take the hint and slides even closer to her. Takahashi, take a seat. In another country, he places his hand over hers and questions her about her relationship status. Mocha is completely certain that she is not imagining things, and the lad is actually making a hit on her. She anxiously begs him to stop touching her, but the peevish Takahashi keeps on pushing his limits and tries to hold her hand again. Red flag alert. It's a whole circus now. A tear of helplessness slips from her eye, and she looks here and there for help. Unconsciously, her gaze falls on Kurosaki, who is sternly looking in their direction. Like a bolt from the blue, he stands up and smashes the glass on the ground to everyone's alarm. Sir did not come to sing, he came to slay. A wide-eyed Mocha stares at him in panic. He swiftly grabs her hand, pulls her up, and announces that they will be leaving. There is a pin-drop silence as everyone stares at them, leaving the room in sheer shock. Mic drop. Glass drop. Feelings drop. Everything's broken. As he drags her on the street, a terrified Mocha questions him about where he is planning to take her. Kurosaki doesn't answer and instead pulls her on the train along with him. She stares at him hesitantly and then offers to carry her own bag. Girl just wanted to carry a bag, not emotional damage. Without looking at her, he curtly refuses to do so, blushing incessantly. Mocha is clueless about his current thoughts, but still she is glad that they can hold hands like this. It then occurs to her how she truly feels about him, because earlier, when Takahashi touched her, she felt uncomfortable. Turns out love is just realizing who doesn't make you cringe. Soon he announces that they are getting off the next station. Mocha tries to recognize the area and realizes that he is taking her to his place. She pulls off her hand in a jitter, refusing to move any further. Ma'am hit the emergency brakes of romance. He stares at her gravely and wonders whether she hates him that much. Mocha desperately tries to explain that she doesn't despise him at all. With a mischievous twinkle in his eye, Kurosaki probes her about her feelings. Bro's eyes twinkling like he just unlocked DLC content. A baffled Mocha lowers her gaze, thinking that she must put a stop to all of this at once or else she will be missiled. But no matter how much she tries, she is unable to express herself. A frustrated Kurosaki decides to continue the journey. Silent treatment, relationship edition. On reaching his house, she timidly perches in the corner of a sofa, ready to be blasted with fiery questions. With a fixating glare, he inquires about her absence from the library during lunch break. "Girl, you dodging the library like it's a haunted house." A distressed Mocha forces a smile and declares that she wasn't feeling like it. When he gives a puzzled expression, she explains that she has been pondering a lot and has reached the conclusion that a popular guy like him shouldn't hang out with a nobody like her, since that will hurt his reputation. She adds that she has decided not to come to the library anymore. With that, she gloomily lowers her head, regretting her own selfishness. Overthinking, the true villain of every romance plot. His gaze is still fixed on her as he questions her about the karaoke adventure. She protests that Yuta forced her into that. Next, he grills her about Takahashi, so she frantically explains that she has never met him before. Why does this feel like an episode of Love Court? Mocha is perplexed because she doesn't know what he is trying to figure out. He is one big enigma for her. After a long, uncomfortable silence, she pulls herself up to go home. Exit stage left or not. As she is about to open the door, like a lightning bolt, he appears and slams the door shut. He towers over and places his hand on the door to completely block her way. Mocha is terrified when he declares that they are not over yet. "Sir, this isn't WWE, so relax with the dramatic moves." He tells her not to care what people think of them hanging out together. As the magical words melt into her heart, a stunned Mocha turns around to face him. He clarifies that he wouldn't have helped her with the homework in the first place if he didn't like her. Imagine falling in love over algebra. Iconic. A distressed Mocha protests that it was just his apology for indirectly blocking her desk. He quickly inquires whether he can go beyond inviting her to his place if he didn't care about her. He places his arms around her and pulls her closer, claiming that it is certainly more than that. Smooth Criminal just skipped 5 relationship levels. He slowly nibbles her ear, giving her a clear hint. He confesses that he is here because he wants to be with her. A tearful Mocha complains that she will get the wrong vibe from him. Wrong vibe? Girl, he's practically sending smoke signals. He assures her that she is not catching the wrong vibe and that he is not lying about his feelings. When she still expresses her disbelief, he bursts into a fit of laughter, exclaiming that she surely needs evidence for his claim. Mocha stares at him in fascination as he finally smiles at her again. And the old Kurosaki is back. Return of the Smirk, sequel better than the original. She tearfully clarifies her apprehension of being hated by him if her feelings were exposed to him. At last, she finally confesses her love for him and wonders if he is okay with her companionship. He embraces her passionately for affirmation. Cue the K-drama music and slow-mo wind. She is amazed to hear his heavy and loud heartbeat just like hers. Later, while sipping tea, she feels as if she is living in a dream since they are both officially a couple. Suddenly, he sighs irritably, complaining about getting too many notifications. Even romance has Wi-Fi problems. She guesses that they might be from Yuta since they left the karaoke so questionably, leaving everyone shocked. She is anxious about their next step. Unexpectedly, he glares at her, to her confusion. Mood swing unlocked. He demands to know why she calls Yuta by his first name, while he is still Kurosaki. Amusingly, she mentions that everybody calls him that, and he also hates being called by Izumi. Quite solemnly, he compels her to call him Izumi from now onwards. Mission: upgrade the nickname. Status: complicated. Mocha's heart skips a beat at his penetrating stare. He comes closer to her and nibbles her ear, urging her to do so. Rose nibbling like a romantic squirrel. She shudders at his assertion, but he pulls her face closer to his and urges her to do so. When she finally utters his name, instantly he pulls her in a passionate lip lock. A shocked Mocha blushes furiously, but he kisses her more ardently. As she pants heavily out of emotion, he confesses his love for her and hugs her again. Plot twist. They skip the soft launch. A flushed Mocha is speechless because she has never seen his passionate side before. As he continues expressing his love for her, his sweet expression makes her dizzy. She came for homework help and got a whole love story.
Here I am, know it's been a while. I was in denial about my love. Here I stand, I know I walked away.